All right. So I don't have any viewers right at this second, but if you're coming into this video later, what I'm working on, here I'll come back to this view here. What I'm working on is an automation engine that can work with the REST interfaces on my home automation hub. So to put this in perspective, I've got all these devices. I've got sensors, door sensors, opening and closing sensors. I've got temperature sensors. I've got motion sensors, and I've got switches. And like the idea is I want to be able to turn things off and on when a sensor gets a certain signal. So like if an open close sensor says that I'm open, then I want to turn on a light. For example, I have a switch in my pantry. And I want to open I want to turn on the pantry switch, the pantry light, every time the pantry door is opened. And I want to close it when the door is closed. But I want to get a little bit more complicated than that too. I want to have it complain if it's left open too long. Now, I have done all of this previously in SmartThings, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm transitioning from SmartThings to Hubitat, and I want to drive my automation by .NET Core running on a Raspberry Pi. I want to offload all the heavy automation, anything more complicated than just like turning a light on and off. I want to offload into a .NET Core application. So that's what I'm doing. That's the project I'm going to be coming back to over and over again as I stream. So let's go to my screen share here. Now what I'm working on, like the way I'm approaching this is, let's actually put this over here, and over here we'll put a browser, and I'll log into there we go. So there's my home automation controller. And if we look at the apps installed on my home automation controller, I've got a little Webhooks app down here. And what this webhook app is going to do is every time that, I mean, right now it's just configured to use this outlet right here. I'm going to turn that off actually. And every time the contact sensor named pantry door triggers, it's going to fire off a webhook to this URL, which is my Raspberry Pi, which I don't actually have a web service running on it right now, but I will. All right. So that's everything I need to do on the home automation side. I've already got the Webhooks app set up. So every time that pantry door opens or closes, it's going to send a webhook. Now I need to write the application that's going to catch that webhook, and I've already started on it actually. Excuse me, I'm vaping. I've already started on it actually. I've got in my web API, I've got an automation controller class here that it's going to catch automations as they come in. Now I should probably genericize that a little bit, shouldn't I? Do I want a base class that, no. Now let's get rid of this. Every hub event that comes in, event, we will hand off what method are we going to give it? I'll pass the method in on the query string, I think. We'll call it automation name. All right, and then we'll switch automation name, right? Case pantry light, we'll call it. And then we will, I think I'd like another location for storing my actual automations. In fact, I think I'll just call it automations. There we go. We're going to add a class to this called we'll just call it pantry light. And we're going to have a static I wonder if I should make these classes implement an interface, these automation classes. I probably should. Let's actually make an interface first. Automation. And if I was really planning ahead, I could do this. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to change automations and deploy them without shutting down the web service, because right now it's just going to be one web service, and we can't. It's going to be running in Kestrel. It's going to be running as an executable, and if I want to deploy changes to it, I'm going to need to cycle the web server. I'd like to be able to deploy automations as like plug-in DLLs on the fly, but that can come later. All right, so what is an automation going to do? Automation is going to have a single method. It can just be a void. And it's going to take a hub event, I believe is what I called that class. Yes, hub event. Is that right? I think that's right. I never finished my iHub either. If you're wondering why this seems like it's unplanned, it is pretty unplanned. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. So an I automation is just gonna do a hand. It's just going to handle the event. Okay, that's fine. So then pantry light here will implement I automation. Public void handle. Can you call something a static on an interface? I don't know. Can you? Whoops. Nope, you can't. Okay, that's fine. Do I want to instantiate these? Yeah, I think so. Oh, go away. In fact, let's turn those off for now. Quiet mode. I'm not seeing. Oh, focus assist. That's right. They changed it. How's that? Now it says static is not I don't know if you can implement a static on an interface. Can I say static interface? Nope. Well, I mean, I guess we'd have to have a concrete implementation of it. That's fine. That's fine if we need a concrete instance. But let's think about this. We're going to give it a constructor public pantry light, and we're going to inject the hub because dependency injection. I need to include the namespace for iHub. Is it really? Primary type iHub is less accessible. No, it's not. So what's a hub going to have? A hub is going to have a base address. It's going to have an execute method, a go get it method. So we're going to have a void send request, I'll call it. Oh yeah, I'm not thinking. We're going to have a device So I think that's all we need, right? All right, so the automation controller is going to get a request. It's going to get an event passed to it, along with an automation name in the query string. Actually, is there a from query string attribute I need to... Yep, that's what I thought. All right. So it's going to get an event. It's going to get the automation name. We're going to look for the automation name, and then we're going to Oh yeah, we need a constructor for the automation controller. Do those have to be public? I think they have to be public. Alright, so we can inject the hub in. And then in the case of Pantry Light, we're going to say automation equals new Pantry Light, passing in the hub. Then in the default case, we are going to so we have to return these, right? Yeah, those are status code results. Not found result, right? Oh, no, it's action result. It's been a while since I've done this. There we go. There we go. Yep. So the automation was instantiated right there. We pass in the hub that was injected. Then we handle it. And then, assuming we don't blow chunks, we're going to return a what's a success? Action result. Actually, instead of flailing, why don't we see what implements action results? Page result, view result, JSON result, file result, empty result. Empty result is what I probably want. Or status code. There we go. Status code result. Is that a thing? Oh, would be if I spelled it right, maybe. Aha, 200 success. There we go. Okay, so I see I've got a few new viewers since I had a few minutes ago. What I'm working on here is I've got a home automation controller made by a company called Hubitat. They basically ripped off SmartThings' programming model. So I'm going to transition from SmartThings to Hubitat. And Hubitat, because it's not in the cloud, because it's running locally, it's kind of limited in what it can do in terms of how much horsepower it brings. So what I'm changing here is instead of running my automations directly on the Hubitat device, written in the language and the SDK that it comes with, instead I've got a webhook app here on the Hubitat. And what it's going to do is every time my pantry door contact sensor is tripped, it's going to fire off a webhook to this URL. Now, that URL is going to be this .NET Core Web API, right? And actually, I should probably also add and automation name equals pantry light. There we go. So it's gonna fire off this post over here when it fires off the webhook, and it's gonna come in with this this JSON object that's going to, here, let's look at the hub event. There's a hub event. This is actually the code from the webhook app, and it's long story short, it's going to have some device ID, a device value, display name, some description text. Really, all I care about is the device ID and the device value, right? So I'm going to be able to tell that it's my pantry door sensor based on its ID and whether it's open or closed. So where was I? Oh yeah, I was working on that Web API controller. All right, so we're going to get the event. We are going to go to the Pantry Light automation. It's going to new up a Pantry Light, which implements iAutomation. And then we're going to call iAutomation.handle. So in Pantry Light, we need to do some handling. But we're going to get to that in a minute. Before I do that, we need to think about how we're going to hydrate. I've got a model here for devices, and that device class just has an ID, a name, and a label, and it's going to represent what we're doing stuff to. So like the switch in my pantry. So within the pantry automation, the Pantry Light automation, I basically want to say, we'll just pseudocode it, Pantry Light switch. Let's do this. I don't like that format. There we go. I guess it has to be that way. No, there we go. We're going to say if pantry door is open, then we're going to on. Else, we're going to Pantry Light off. But in order to make this work, we're going to have to pass in or at least hydrate the Pantry Light. believe I made device an abstract class, didn't I? Yeah. I'm going to add a class here called we'll just call it switch. And switch is going to implement, or it's going to be an instance of, rather, device. No, we don't want a property. It would actually be a method. We'll call it just void on, void off. Oh, wait. I'm still thinking in terms of interfaces, aren't I? There we go. So we're going to be able to turn it on and off. We should probably be able to get a status from it. And what statuses can a switch have? They can be on, they can be off, or we can also say unknown in case it throws like an error or something and we recover gracefully. So in the case of on, we're going to we need a constructor. And that constructor is going to need an ID passed into it. What else is the constructor going to need? It's also going to need to know what hub it's attached to. Whoops. All right. So hub will be hub, ID will be ID. So then when we turn it on, what we want to do is we want to send on requests to, it's going to be the hub base address plus whatever other path plus ID plus, I think, on or something like that. We're going to come back to that. And that's how we're going to turn it off. And then we're going to have a public switch status. Status. Actually, let's do that as a property. There we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Is that better? Yep, that's better. Let's get rid of the setter. And actually, let's do that. There we go. That wasn't what I wanted, though. Oh, it's so embarrassing when you can't remember getter and setter syntax. I always use auto properties. No, that should be right. It's just not returning anything. Okay, that's fine. Oh, it's going to be... Let's pseudocode this here. For now, I'm just going to say return switch status dot unknown. And we'll come back to that later. But what I want to do is I want to go get the status and parse it. So let's think about this. Okay, I think we're good. Let's make a concrete implementation of iHub. We'll call it Hubitat. No, we don't want all that. Alright, we're going to return HTTP, not S. Let's go over here to my, back to my Hubitat. And it's got a maker API. And the URLs, yeah, you all see those tokens. Don't worry, I'm going to blow this away and replace the token with a new token at some point. So it's apps/API, then /143/143/devices. What about if I want to get all devices? Yeah, same thing. Okay, so let's take that token part out. And down here is where we're going to want to add the token. Hey, I see I've got one viewer out there at the moment. Feel free to pop into the chat and say hi. I feel kind of silly talking to myself this whole time. Alright, so why is that blowing up? Oh, because it doesn't actually... Oh, because I have base address as a get and a set. Well, we're going to change that. There we go. We'll come back over here. So when we knew this up, gosh, I hate to admit it, but I often have to look at code I've already written to remember how I did something. So I have out Azure, is it Azure Dash Samples? Is that the name of the account? Yeah. What did I call that sample? Oh, I remember what I called it. I called it Simple Feed Reader. Or something. Aha, there it is. You found a security vulnerability. Moderately severe. Upgrade to 214, huh? As a DOS vulnerability. Well, noted. But in the meantime, I always have to look to remind myself how dependency injection works. So we configure it as a service, right? .add. Okay. Whoops. There we go. Wait a minute. So the news service, add scopes, type of news service. Okay. Then what was I doing? Does new service get something out of a config? New service, iMapper, mapper. So it passes mapper in from the startup.cs, but I don't remember when I wrote this sample app. So feed URI, where is it getting feed URI? It's passed into the get news method. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll leave that alone. Okay, what do we got? We got add scope, add hosted service. I think add scoped is what I want. Yeah. Not singleton. Or do I want singleton? Would there be any benefit to having a singleton of the hub? I don't think there would be. Alright. So we knew that up. Let's come back over here to the automation controller and run through this again. So we get the event from the hub with the automation name. So it falls through this switch to the automation name. So it news up Pantry Light, which is an iAutomation. Down here we call iAutomation.handle, and then we fire off the handler. So in the Pantry Light handler, there's the code that we want. So let's just go ahead and if event dot value equals, I believe it's just open all lowercase. We'll see. We'll see, won't we? Then pantry light dot on else pantry light dot off. Okay. So we can get rid of that pseudocode right there. Let me cannot to bool. When did I make that a bool? Oh, double equal signs. There we go. So if it's open, then we're turning it on. If not, we're turning it off. If it's unknown, we're going to send it off. But it still should be on. Okay. So now we need to do the part where we instantiate a switch. That was going to be back on my pantry light automation. And actually, I don't need to pass anything in there. We can just hard code the device ID. We might build a configuration file later, but honestly, I'm just interested primarily in getting it working right now. So go over here to my devices. And that's our ID right there, is 189. Pretty sure. I mean, that's the device network ID, but I'm pretty sure the ID that we're passing to Hubitat to turn things off and on is that hard-coded value up there. So I'm just going to say new pantry light. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, new switch, not new pantry light. What am I thinking? Wants us to pass in the hub. Okay, so we'll just say pantry light. We will also have a read-only string pantry light ID. Read-only int, I'm sorry. Actually, no, it'll be a constant int. Pantry light ID will be that. Whoop, nope, not that. Not that. There we go. 189. There we go. So then when it's open, wait, what are you telling me here? Oh, because I got to pass in the hub there too. Yep. So when it's open, when the door is open, we're going to say pantry light on and pantry light off. And again, you might be asking yourself, why am I going through all the effort to move all this automation over into a web API? And it's just because, well, one, because I can, and two, because I've this little device over there. It's going to have it's going to have some very complex automations. I figure we should walk before we run. And in fact, the pantry light, I like my pantry light to get passive aggressive when the kids leave it open. I like for it to complain at the kids. I have a speaker in the kitchen, and I like to send a message to the speaker that says, "Please close the pantry door." But barring that, um, we're going to get to that, but not today. Okay. So that's the basics of the automation. Later on, like I said, later on we're going to kick off some async tasks that come back like in 5 minutes and 10 minutes and nag the kids to close the pantry door. But for now, I just want open and closed working. All right, so now we need to code up the part. I need to code up the part where we go get the status for the switch. Or do we? I don't think we do. No, we can just return unknown for now. Like I said, I just want to get it turning on and off. So let's do that. What are the cool kids using for HTTP client these days? System.net.http? Oh no, they're using a factory now, aren't they? We'll just call it client. HTTP client factory, I think, is what it's called. With the handlers provided. Alright, I'm going to have to look. I thought it was HTTP client factory is what the new recommendation was. Oh, no, go away. Go away. Aha. Nope, not that doc. Versus new HTTP client. Do. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's a Hanselman post. Alright, let's see what Hansman has to say on it. So this year, oh, interesting. Next, I'll look at implement. Client looks to pre-configure named HTTP clients with base addresses and default headers, so you can just ask for them later by name. Huh. Well, you know what? I'm just going to borrow that. Well, no, I'm not, because I want to set the base address there. Now, I could read it from a config or something, but I mean, I guess I could change it. We don't have to set the base address there. Because then it's going to get injected, right? Yeah, see, it gets injected into the controller. But I'm already injecting the hub, so really the hub ought to just be the one figuring it out. So this is really not what I wanted to see, Scott. Thanks anyway. Just type client or use the client. Okay, but I'm not seeing I don't see the factory instantiating that anywhere. Alright, well, we'll just say create. No, I don't want to do that in here, do I? I have to think on this for a second. No, we're wanting to send the request. We're wanting to turn it on. So yeah, that's not going to be in here. That's going to be in the hub code. Okay. So we're going to send a request. What do we need to know about I wonder if maybe I should have put send request. I wonder if maybe I should put that code in the actual switch. Yeah, put it in the device level instead of. Yeah, I think I do want to put it there actually, now that we mention it. And get rid of that. And then back on the device, not on the device, on the switch. No. I really should abstract that, shouldn't I? I don't want that on the device either. I think I do want send request on the hub. Oh, how am I going to do this? Now, for the 2 viewers I have out there, I'm sure you're sitting here going, "What the hell is he talking about?" So, what I'm debating in my head, I would like anything outside of the automation folder here, I would like to be as generic as possible, because eventually I want to move automations off into like a plugins model, where I can drop the plugins in on the fly and change the automations without changing the rest of the application. So I want to make the application something that I can configure in app-settings.json to be fairly flexible. I don't particularly feel like it needs to be hard-coded to my Hubitat device, but this is getting complicated. So I have a base address on the hub, sure. I mean, does that need to be there? I suppose I should have a model. I should have a model for a yes. Yes. Here we go. Add class device action, we'll call it. In device action, we'll have a an int and whoops. Public string. We'll just call it action. So device ID 189 or whatever, which is my pantry switch dot on, will surface this device. It'll bubble this device action class up to the iHub. It says, here's my device action. I want you to take device ID and turn it on. And we don't even really care what kind of device it is. We're just wanting the ID. And the action, I think, is all I need. All right, let's go over to iHub. We'll say void do action, and we're going to take device action. So let's implement that. There we go. There's do action. So we're going to take action, and so see, base address doesn't even need to be in, or does it? No, it doesn't, because we have a get device method on the hub. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right. So when the switch is on, we are going to say hub.doAction. Did I really need a class for that? If it's just an int and a string? Probably not. Could probably take a device. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to change my mind. Device. String action. That looks better. So from inside the switch, when we turn it on, we can say hub do action this, and I believe it's just the text is just going to be on. I think we can verify that in a little bit. Okay. I think we're about ready to do this. What am I not implementing? What didn't I implement in my abstract class? No. We're getting rid of that. That doesn't need to be in the abstract class. There we go. I got 2 viewers out there. Hey, why don't you guys welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. Why don't you guys go ahead and click your follow button? I plan on doing this a lot. I'm a docs writer at Microsoft. I do a lot of home automation, a lot of electronic music stuff, a lot of .NET, and a lot of Azure stuff. So that's kind of my wheelhouse, and I plan on doing that as often as possible. What's this skip alert button do? I don't know. Oh well. All right. So, are we ready to run the code yet? I think we are. I think we're getting there. All right. So I was making a contact sensor class. Do I need that here though? I may not need that. So let's walk through the flow again. We're going to come in to the post here. It's going to bring the event with it. It's going to grab the automation name. And automation name will be Pantry Light. So it'll use the Pantry Light automation, which is this one. So the ID of the switch is 189. We're going to new up a switch. And in the case that the contact sensor is open, see, because I don't I don't need to go get the switch here, do I? I don't need to know anything else about the switch. Just the fact that the event has come in and the event will say open or closed. So if it's open, we can turn it on. If it's anything else, we can say off. I should probably check and make sure that the event is coming. Well, no, because the event is definitely going to be coming from that contact sensor, the pantry door. Because in the webhook, when I set up the webhook over here, here we go. Yeah, the only thing sending a value is under the contact sensors is the pantry door. So I can just assume that that's the only thing sending the pantry light automation, asking for that automation, right? Because that's the only webhook that should be sending it. In fact, I should rename this webhook. Assign a name, pantry light automation. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna, just so they're all in one place, I'm going to standardize calling them webhook : pantry light automation. There we go. Okay. So the only thing we need to figure out at this point is how we're going to implement the doAction method, which we have an HTTP client, so we should be able to just client.postAsync yada yada yada. Let's build our string first. So we don't even really need this property. Didn't I get rid of that as part of the iHub? I did. Okay. Const string base address underscore equals no. I am going to want to make that configurable, so we'll just say string base address. Going to move this down to the constructor. Move to configuration. This is all very proof of concept. I will come back and optimize with the very next thing I do, probably. I still have one viewer out there. Whoever you are, say hi. I'm glad to have you. Ask questions, whatever. It's all good. Right, so the URI is going to be equals new URI, and this we'll just use interpolated strings. Is that the word? I think that's the word. Equals new URI. All right, so that's our base address. What's the rest of the address? Device ID. Well, we're sending a command. Okay, so it's going to be device ID, then command, then secondary value. So slash device dot ID, comma, or not comma, slash action. And there is no secondary value in this case. So the action will be action. And again, please don't do as I do. Do as I say. And when I say do as I say, I mean, for the love of Pete, do not hard code values like this. But again, proof of concept. We will clean it up after it's working. I think that'll do it. So then we're going to post async. Oh no, we're not going to post async, we're going to get async. Actually, I want to rename this. There we go. All right. So, in theory, I should be able to turn my pantry light on and off now through this service. So let's find out. I think I've got it all. Yeah. Go away. Post. Oh, I don't have post, man, because I just rebuilt my machine. get postman.com/postman, I think. Are you gonna like launch an installer or something? All right. I don't care. Skip signing in, take me straight to the app. Requests. I forgot to see. What what's my base URL here? Localhost what? 9776. Okay. We don't need to launch a browser in the future. I can't change that right now. All right, so I don't care. Don't name the request. Port 9776. Slash API slash, what did I call it? Automation controller. Slash automation slash, it's going to be a post, and it's also going to have a query string called, what did we call that? Where's my controller? Automation name. Automation name equals pantry light. Actually, it doesn't need to be in quotes. All right. Header content type will be application JSON. There we go. And body will be a raw body. And where is my automation event class? What was the I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever the event ID doesn't matter here. Then the source will be also Postman. So if this works, we should be turning my pantry light on and off. No, I don't want it at that level. I want it in, where's my concrete hub? There's my concrete hub. All right. Actually, let's look at the devices real quick too. Devices, pantry light. Currently it's on. So let's set it to closed instead. All right, send. Nothing? Really? 500. Internal server error. Unable to resolve service for type, yada, yada, yada. While attempting to activate automation controller. So I wired something up wrong with my dependency injection. Oh, no, that's not right either. Core dependency injection, because I can never get it right. I always screw it up. It's like what I always get wrong. Okay. Yeah. Who wrote this doc? Luke. Luke, if you're watching, I'm gonna blame you when I get this wrong. I saw Scott was on it too. Scott Addy. My dependency implements I dependency. Right. That's what I want to do. All right. So how do we inject my dependency? Add scope I dependency type. Okay, that's what I screwed up. Okay. Add scoped I hub, and the concrete of iHub is Hubitat. There we go. Now it should work. Let's go ahead and tell it I don't want to launch a browser. Ready, go. All right, so let's send this again. Well, we hit the breakpoint. When did I hit this breakpoint? So there's my request URI. It looks right. And it didn't blow up. So let's refresh over here. The pantry light is still on, however. So let's try that again and look at the result this time and see what the result looks like. F10. Where's my status? User script, non-public members. Does that result not include an HTTP result anywhere? It should. It's path, authority, fragment, host, host name is UNC, local path. Okay, well, you know what? Let's try it from over here. Oh wait, let's keep it going. Oh wait, server terminated the process. No, maybe I think I just let that run too long. Let's get this URI. Send it. Oh, I'm not debugging. Need to debug first and then send it. Okay, so my request URI is that whole string right there. Let's copy that value over into a new Postman tab. Oh, wait, I had a quote. Get rid of the quote. No quotes. Now send it. Device not found or not authorized. Really? Device not found or not authorized. My response code here is a 404. So I should probably throw an exception in my code when it doesn't work. So if in result dot is if it is not a success status code, throw new what am I going to call it? What kind of exception? I'll just make a new exception type. New folder. Class. Alright. What was I doing? Sorry, my kids and my wife were having a discussion and distracted me a little bit. Oh yeah, I was going to call this an automation hub exception.cs. And it will, for now, it'll just inherit from system.net.webException. I might change that later. so now if we make that same request, which isn't working, it should blow up and throw an exception. Yes. So we'll just keep that going. Go. Boom. Internal server error. And we will gracefully do something more restful later on. But for now, that'll work. Okay, so turns out that the switch in question is 189. Why did I set it as 143? What was the URL I used? Devices/0. That's why it's not authorized. Could that maybe not be the right device? Or do I have its... That's its network ID, but that's within the Z-Wave network. Oh, it isn't authorized, actually. It's not in the... Yeah, I have to set up the Maker API to allow... I just added the pantry light switch today, and I forgot to give... Actually, I'll just go up here, toggle all on and off. So now... Aha! Aha! 200 OK. So it went through that time. Good, 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 good. So I just turned off the pantry light. If we go back to the pantry light, it's off. So I should be able to turn it on the same way. It's on. See, it just changed in real time. Yay! All right. So here's the moment of truth. So that was direct. That post was, or get actually, was directly to my hub. Now, if we send the event from Postman to my web API, which is running right now, then it should turn it off again. Oh, it's through an exception, 404. All right. Well, keep going. Let's try that again. And actually, I should actually maybe look at my values here and see why they're blowing up. All right. So my request looks nope. There's the problem. There's the problem. If we look at the address, in fact, let's absolute URI copy value. Come back over here to Postman. There is the problem. I'm passing a device ID of 0. So we're doing that in the hub controller code right here, device.id. So device.id is 0. Why is device.id 0? Because it's an int. Where's my switch code? No. Int ID, switch ID. So I'm passing this back. So is the ID not getting passed in when I create that switch? Where was I creating the switch? I don't even remember where I was creating the switch. It was in the automation. There it goes. So pantry light equals new switch. Pantry light ID. Okay, that's... Why is that not... Let's try this again. Continue, blow up, send again. All right, pantry light ID is 189. Right? So let's set a breakpoint in the switch. And let's set a breakpoint in the Hubitat iHub. Switch is a device, right? It is a device. Okay. Oh, I know why. I'm a tool. That was dumb. That was dumb. That was dumb. I know why. I know why. That's because what I should have done right here is this dot ID equals ID. Actually, yeah, that's fine. Really what it should do right here is it should rehydrate itself. But this will work for now. All right, so we're going to simulate closing that contact sensor again. That's what this is doing. This JSON package here is simulating my contact sensor getting closed. So we're going to hit a breakpoint. I'll go ahead and undo that breakpoint because I'm pretty sure we're good now. Let's check real quick. F10. Looks right. Moment of truth. Status code 200, and haha! The switch is now off. And by the way, that is a physical switch. That is in my kitchen next to me here. It's in my pantry. I literally just turned off the pantry light by simulating that contact switch being closed. Now I'm going to simulate that contact switch being opened. And now the light's on. Ha! All right, so we are sending messages to, we're sending these events to from Postman to the Web API running on this machine. The last thing I want to do tonight is I want to compile. I want to build this project and deploy it to a Raspberry Pi I've got sitting elsewhere in the house. So that when we actually turn it on and off, when the actual contact sensor, rather, we'll go to that contact sensor here, pantry door contact sensor. When it flips from open to close, I don't have a way to manually do that either. That's okay. That's okay. I'll set up a virtual contact switch. We can test it that way. All right, so anyway, I want to build this, and I want to deploy it to a Raspberry Pi. Yes, stop debugging. It all builds. It's all good. Let's go to my project properties, and where did I change? Build events, build platform target. Trying to remember. Oh, I remember where it was. It wasn't in the project properties. It was right-click on the project and publish. There's publish. Hey, thanks for the follow. Defense, nice to meet you. Alright, so I'm going to publish it to a folder. That path is fine. Advanced. I don't want it to be framework dependent. I want it to be self-contained, and it will say Linux x64 for now. Save. I'm not going to publish yet. What I'm going to do before I publish is I'm going to cancel. Going to manually edit my project file here. I thought this was where I did that previously. Let's go back, publish, folder, yeah. Is it still going to say, nope, self-contained, Linux, save. So it's saved. I don't know where I saved it though. I thought it was part of the CS file. Now let's go ahead and publish Linux x64 anyway. Oh, no, there it saves it. Okay. It's packaging it right now. Restore completed, building. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go... No, it's still not in here. Where? You know, I did this in a demo not too long ago, and oh, publish profiles. That's where it is. Ah, okay. This is what I wanted to change. I wanted to change my publish profile to Linux ARM. That's good to know, because I got to demo that again in January at a talk. Okay, publish. Where's my publish dialog? There we go. Configure just to make sure. Settings, Linux ARM. Great. All right, publish. And while you're doing that, I'm going to launch file. Yes. Oh wait, there it is. I do have FileZilla. I thought I was going to have to install something else again since I just rebuilt my machine. 192.168.15.15. Username is Pi. The password, I do not know the password to that Raspberry Pi because I keep everything in LastPass. And it should be port 22. Sure, save the password. Sure, always trust. Okay, so there's my machine. I can get rid of that directory over there. This is we're remoted into my Raspberry Pi right now. So this is SFTP. And in fact, while I'm thinking about it, Pi at 192.168.15.15. Yes, password, go. All right. So let's make a directory over here. We'll call it automation. And in my automation directory, let's browse. Let me move this where you guys can see it. Bin release Linux ARM. That can't be the full. Oh no, publish. Publish. There we go. So this should be it. So let's move it over there. So right now we're copying